Have you ever had a moment in your life where everything changed in an instant? A moment so profound that it reshaped how you see yourself, your relationships, and the world around you. For Elvis Presley, that moment came on the evening of February 1st, 1977, when he shared an intimate and unforgettable musical experience with his daughter Lisa Marie. In the quiet comfort of their home at Graceland, something extraordinary happened, something so private, so real, that it would become one of the most treasured memories of his life. In the midst of a whirlwind career filled with concerts, recordings, and the overwhelming demands of fame, Elvis found himself with a rare moment of peace. There, in his private music room, with only the soft glow of the recording studio lights casting shadows on the walls, he sat at the piano as he played the opening chords of Love Me Tender, a song that had long been a part of his heart. Something caught his attention. His daughter, Lisa Marie, was humming along. At just 9 years old, her voice was pure, clear, and filled with a natural musicality that stopped Elvis in his tracks. It was a simple, seemingly insignificant moment. A father playing a song for his daughter. But to Elvis, it was much more. As he listened to Lisa Marie's voice blend effortlessly with his own, he saw not just the child he had raised, but the echo of his own legacy, his own musical gift, passing on to the next generation. It was a moment of realization, of pride, of deep emotional connection. It was the moment Elvis understood that music, the very thing that had shaped his life, would now become the bridge between him and his daughter, their voices forever intertwined in a harmony that spoke to something much deeper than fame. This moment would become a key turning point not only in their personal lives, but in Elvis's own understanding of his legacy. A father and daughter, sharing not just music, but a bond that would transcend time, memory, and fame. Elvis Presley was no stranger to the pressures of fame. His life was a whirlwind of constant demands, touring, recording, public appearances, and the relentless expectations of his fans and the music industry. Yet, behind the iconic persona, behind the velvet suit and the electrifying performances, Elvis was also a man who knew loneliness. The very fame that made him an international symbol of rock and roll was the same fame that often left him feeling isolated. As he sat at the piano that evening, strumming the familiar chords of Love Me Tender, Elvis was not just a superstar. He was a father, and for that fleeting moment away from the spotlight and the cameras, he was just a man who longed to be close to his daughter. Life at Graceland, though lavish, often felt distant from the real connections he craved. The mansion, filled with wealth and luxury, also felt hollow in its solitude. He longed for moments like this, moments of stillness where he could be himself, where he wasn't Elvis Presley, the entertainer but simply daddy sharing music with his child. Despite the chaos of his public life, Elvis treasured the rare moments he had with Lisa Marie. As a father, he was protective of her, wanting to shield her from the harshness of the world that he had come to know all too well. He had always been a proud father, watching with a mix of awe and affection as Lisa Marie grew up. She had inherited his looks, his mannerisms, and to his surprise, a musical talent that mirrored his own. Elvis knew music was in her blood, but he had never fully grasped the depth of her musicality until that evening when he first heard her sing along with him. In that moment, Elvis's emotions swirled: pride, amazement, and a deep, almost overwhelming sense of connection. He had always known his daughter had potential, but hearing her voice for the first time with such clarity and confidence stirred something deep within him. It was as though a hidden part of him, one he had kept buried beneath the weight of fame, began to resurface. He felt a sense of renewal, as though in his daughter he could see the continuation of his musical journey, his legacy. But what really struck Elvis was how her voice seemed to carry a purity that his own had lost over the years. His voice, now seasoned by years of experience and fame, was heavy with emotion and history. Lisa Marie, however, sang with the innocence and freedom that only a child could possess. Her voice brought a lightness to the room, a freshness that reminded Elvis of the early days of his own music, when he first sang in church, when music had been his escape, his solace, and his way of connecting with the world. Elvis paused, his fingers stilling on the keys as he turned to his daughter, a mixture of surprise and admiration written across his face. "Lisa Marie," he said softly, almost in disbelief, "do you realize how beautiful you sound?" Lisa Marie, unaware of the depth of the compliment, looked up at him with wide eyes. "Have you been practicing, baby girl?" he asked, the pride in his voice undeniable. The question was innocent, but the moment held more weight than either of them could fully understand at the time. And with that, the music began again. Not just a father's piano playing, but a shared experience that would change their lives forever. As Elvis continued to play, the room seemed to shift. The gentle clink of the piano keys echoed through the walls of Graceland, yet everything around them felt strangely quiet, as if the outside world had momentarily faded away. The hum of the city, the echo of Elvis's fame, even the relentless demands of his career, everything vanished in that intimate space. It was just him and his daughter, a moment of connection that transcended all the noise of his public life. Lisa Marie, who had always been somewhat shy and unsure of her place in the world, began to open up in ways she never had before. She had always watched her father with awe, but now, in this private moment, she was becoming part of the music itself. Her voice, though still young, grew stronger with each note. She fed off her father's encouragement, and with every verse she grew more confident, more present in the music they were creating together. But what neither of them knew, what neither of them could possibly have imagined, was that this was not just any ordinary night. It wasn't just a father and daughter singing together. It was the beginning of something much greater, something that would become a pivotal moment, not only in their personal lives, but also in the legacy of the Presley family. Elvis, ever the perfectionist, instinctively adjusted his performance. He wasn't just singing for himself anymore. He was singing with Lisa Marie, and that changed everything. He could feel her spirit, her essence, weaving into the song in a way he had never experienced before. He wasn't just guiding her through the melody. He was learning from her, rediscovering something he had long since lost in the whirlwind of his fame. Her innocence, her untainted approach to music, was bringing him back to his roots, to the very reason he had fallen in love with music in the first place. And as they sang together, a shift occurred within him. For years, Elvis had carried the weight of being Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, the icon who could do no wrong. But in that moment, he wasn't that figure. He was simply a father sharing something profoundly beautiful with his daughter. In her voice, he could hear his own musical journey. Yes, but he also heard something new, something that transcended the years of fame and fortune. He heard purity. He heard vulnerability. He heard connection. Lisa Marie, encouraged by her father's pride, allowed herself to be free in a way she had never done before. She stepped away from the self-consciousness that often plagued her and let the music take her. The song was no longer just something she had heard on the radio. It was something she was living. In that space, she felt something deeper, a sense of belonging, a sense of being understood. Her words were simple, but they carried a weight that Elvis couldn't ignore. When Lisa Marie looked up at him, her voice trembling with an emotion far beyond her years, she said, "Daddy, when we sing together, it feels like we're the same person. Like your voice and my voice are supposed to be together." Elvis felt his heart tighten as he heard those words. There was something almost sacred in them. Music had always been the way he connected with the world, with his fans, and even with his own emotions. But now, it was the bridge between him and his daughter. The realization struck him with an intensity that left him speechless for a moment. The room was still. The music had stopped, but the moment, the connection, the understanding between them was powerful, unspoken but undeniable. They had crossed a threshold. This wasn't just a song. It was a shared experience that bound them in a way neither of them could have anticipated. The emotional climax of that evening came not through the notes they sang, but in the quiet, reflective pause that followed. As the final chords of "Love Me Tender" faded away, a stillness enveloped the room. Elvis sat back on the piano bench, his fingers lingering over the keys not just to finish the song but to collect his thoughts. His heart was racing, but not with the rush of adrenaline he had felt on stage. No, this was something more intimate, more personal, a realization that had shaken him to his core. The truth was beginning to take shape before him in a way that only music could reveal. For the first time, Elvis saw not just a reflection of his own musical talent in Lisa Marie, but something deeper. He saw the potential for a shared legacy, one that was not based on fame or records, but on genuine connection and love. This wasn't about teaching her to become a star or follow in his footsteps. It was about giving her the tools to express herself, to find her own voice, and to use music as a way to connect with others, just as he had done. But more than that, this was the moment when Elvis understood the healing power of music, not just for himself but for his daughter as well. He had always known that music had a way of transcending pain and loneliness, but now, sitting beside his daughter, he felt it more acutely than ever. Music had brought him comfort during his most vulnerable moments, and now it was offering the same comfort to his daughter. His voice was thick with emotion when he finally spoke. "Lisa Marie," he said, his eyes glistening with unshed tears, "you have a gift, baby girl, a real gift." His words were heartfelt, but they were also laden with something deeper. Pride, yes, but also a recognition that his daughter had found something that was uniquely hers, something no one could take away. "Your voice is beautiful, and the way you feel the music, that's something you can't teach. That comes from inside." Elvis paused, as if weighing the full impact of what he was saying. He wasn't just talking about her vocal ability, he was talking about her soul, the essence of who she was. And in that moment, he knew that her musical journey wasn't about performing for an audience. It was about sharing something deeply personal with the world, about offering a piece of herself through the music she created. And then, just as he was about to continue, Lisa Marie surprised him with words that would stay with him for the rest of his life. "Daddy," she said softly, her voice almost a whisper, "when we sing together it feels like we're the same person, like your voice and my voice are supposed to be together." Elvis felt a lump form in his throat as he wiped away a tear. It was a statement that transcended the music, that transcended everything he had known about fame, about talent, about life. It was a moment of pure emotional clarity. In that instant, Elvis understood that his true legacy was not the countless hits or the thousands of fans he had touched. His legacy was in these quiet, vulnerable moments, moments where music became more than just sound, more than just performance. It became a medium for connection, for understanding, for love. This was the turning point for Elvis Presley. In the midst of all the fame and pressure that surrounded him, he had finally found something that was pure, untainted, and true. And it wasn't just in the music. It was in the way he had shared it with his daughter, in the way their voices had merged into one harmonious expression of familial love. The weeks following that unforgettable evening were transformative for both Elvis and Lisa Marie. For Elvis, the simple act of singing with his daughter rekindled something he had long since lost in the chaos of his career: the joy of music itself. His fame, once a driving force in his life, no longer held the same significance. In those quiet moments with Lisa Marie, Elvis rediscovered why he had fallen in love with music in the first place. Not for the adoration of fans, not for the wealth or recognition, but for the deep personal connection it provided, both to himself and to those he loved. Elvis had always known music was powerful. It had saved him during his darkest times, offered him solace in moments of loneliness, and served as a way to connect with his fans on an emotional level. But singing with Lisa Marie reminded him that music's true power lies not in the applause of an audience, but in its ability to bridge generations, to create shared moments of understanding and emotional connection. In that sense, music became more than just a career for him. It became a means of passing on a legacy, not just of sound but of love and human connection. For Lisa Marie, that evening with her father marked the beginning of a deeper understanding of music. She had always been aware of her father's talents, but she had never fully grasped the emotional depth that he poured into every note, every song. Through their duet, she learned that music wasn't just about technique or performance. It was about feeling, about vulnerability, about sharing something deeply personal with the world. Elvis's lessons went beyond vocal technique. He taught her that the most important aspect of music was its ability to speak the truth of one's emotions, to convey the unspoken, to heal and connect. In the months that followed, Lisa Marie's musical confidence blossomed. She began participating more actively in school and community music activities. She joined the church choir, wrote her own songs, and even began performing them for her father. Elvis in turn nurtured her talent, offering guidance and encouragement without ever pushing her to follow in his footsteps. He wanted her to find her own path, to understand that music was not about fame but about expression, about being true to oneself. Elvis's own approach to music began to change as well. The spontaneity of their duet had awakened a sense of authenticity in him, reminding him of the simplicity and purity of music before it had been tainted by the pressures of the entertainment industry. He started to approach his own performances with a renewed sense of joy, no longer focused on meeting expectations but on sharing the music he loved with those who truly understood him. But it was the recording of that evening, the one captured inadvertently by the recording equipment left running, that would remain the most lasting symbol of their bond. Elvis, ever protective of his privacy, refused to commercialize the moment. He rejected the idea of releasing it as a single or album, insisting that it was a personal treasure, a memory of something pure and beautiful that he did not want to exploit for profit. Instead, he shared it privately with close family and friends, playing it for them during intimate gatherings at Graceland, always with pride and emotion. As the years passed, the significance of that first duet grew. When Elvis passed away in August 1977, just 6 months after their recording session, the tape became even more precious to Lisa Marie. It was no longer just a beautiful moment between father and daughter. It was a symbol of the love they had shared, of the connection they had formed through music. It was a reminder that despite the overwhelming pressure of fame, Elvis had always been a father first, a man who cared deeply for his daughter and wanted to pass on his most cherished gift to her. In the years that followed, as Lisa Marie pursued her own music career, she often spoke of that evening as the moment she knew music would be central to her life. She carried with her the lessons Elvis had taught her, the importance of honesty in music, the power of emotional expression, and the joy of sharing something deeply personal with the world. As we reflect on this intimate and transformative moment between Elvis Presley and his daughter Lisa Marie, it becomes clear that the true legacy of Elvis was not his fame, his records, or the adoration of millions. It was the love, wisdom, and passion he passed down to his daughter through the universal language of music. Music for Elvis was always more than just entertainment. It was a form of emotional expression, a way to connect with others, above all, a means of healing. That night, when father and daughter sang together, they shared something much more profound than just notes and melodies. They shared their hearts, and in that exchange they found not just harmony in their voices but in their spirits. The way Elvis taught Lisa Marie to feel the music, to sing from her heart, is a lesson that resonates far beyond the world of music. It speaks to the importance of authenticity, of being true to oneself, and of sharing one's soul with others. In many ways, that evening marked the beginning of Lisa Marie's own journey with music, a journey that would see her not just following in her father's footsteps, but forging her own path, one rooted in the emotional depth and human connection that Elvis had instilled in her. As we look back on this powerful moment, we are reminded of the deeper truths that Elvis understood. Music has the power to transcend time and space, to heal wounds, to bridge generations, and to connect people in ways that words alone cannot. It is a reminder that the most significant moments in our lives are often the quiet, private ones, the moments when we connect with those we love and share something that goes beyond the surface. So I ask you, the audience, have you ever had a moment when music, art, or simply a shared experience with someone close to you has changed your perspective? How has empathy shaped your own relationships? and the way you connect with the world? I encourage you to reflect on these questions and share your thoughts in the comments below. Music, love, and human connection are the building blocks of who we are. Let's take a moment to appreciate the power of these shared experiences, just as Elvis and Lisa Marie did that fateful night.